Nicholas Simons, you're running for the NDP leadership.
That's right.
A lot of people don't know who you are. Can you start with a little biography?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I'm hoping that over this next 3 months that people will know who I am and know what I stand for, and I'm looking forward to that process. But the main part of my career has been working in health and social services. I've been a child protection social worker, and I've worked for the Sechelt Nation for almost a decade in their health services department as the director. And that's formed the bulk of my career, but I'm also a musician. I play the cello, and I come from a family of musicians. I've had a diversity of employment in my past, basically my passion is in child welfare. It's actually one of the reasons why I was sort of found my way getting into politics, knowing that the impact of legislation and policy can have an impact on children and on families. So my background is mostly in the social services area, but I also have some of the arts background as well.
And why have you decided to put your name forward to become NDP leader?
Well, I think it's important to have a new voice with a new approach, and that approach is to ensure that our democratic process is one that the people of the province feel engaged to. I think that we've seen a trend of people being sort of disaffected with politics in general, and we've seen the results of that with low voter turnout. And my hope is that with my approach, that people will be engaged and people will feel that their voice will be heard, and that decisions will be made that are in the best interest of public policy, of the public. So primarily my reason for running is to bring that voice to the party and to offer it to the people of the province.
How would that manifest itself? How would we see that in action if you were in a position to lead the party?
Well, I think that the main focus I would have is to ensure that everyone knows that government policy will be based on good research, good consultation, and good common sense. And if the policy that we develop as government meets those categories or meets those thresholds, then we can be sure that the province will be well served. And by engaging people, by accepting the divergence of views, and by giving people an opportunity to express themselves, I think people will be more engaged in the political process, which serves democracy better.
A lot of people don't trust politicians. Why should they trust Nicholas Simons?
Well, I know that there are a lot of stereotypes about politicians, as there are stereotypes about other forms of employment or people in different positions. I think that people just have to get to know who their politicians are, and I think maybe that is what's been missing. We've been sort of characterized in one way, and we are all people from diverse backgrounds with diverse experiences, and I can't think of colleagues of mine who have anything but the best interest of the people of the province at heart. So I think that in order to address that issue of trust, people just have to know who their politicians are and how they make decisions. Not just the decisions or the opinions they have about specific issues, but how do they come to those decisions? What thought process do they use? What experience do they base it on? And how inclusive are they in the manner in which they come up with policy ideas, for example? And so, I can't tell people to just trust me. Obviously, I have to earn that, and I think my experience in politics so far has put me in good standing with my constituents. I believe that I have good support from my constituents. And it's because they trust that I will do what I think is best for the people of my constituency. And I just would like to bring that to the rest of the province.
And you've been the MLA for Powell River Sunshine Coast since 2005. Mm-hmm. As you look back over that period, what are you most proud of in terms of your accomplishments?
Well, one of my accomplishments, I think, has been to put some focus on the importance of food security. And on supporting small farms not just in my constituency, but in the province. So when the government implemented these regulations that made it almost impossible for a farmer to sell a chicken to his neighbor, I put forward a private member's bill that called for reversing that policy decision. And very shortly thereafter, government did change regulations that allowed for certain loosening of those really strict requirements. And what it symbolizes to me is the importance of considering economy, environment, and business in decisions that we make. And when you promote local food production, you're also addressing issues of transportation of food, which is a monumental carbon footprint. But you're also supporting small business because you're supporting small farms. You're allowing them to do what we hope that they can do with some security. And so in that respect, I think that it reflects what I think is important in all decisions made by government, that we look at policy decisions through not just one perspective, but you bring the entire consideration for the environment, our economy, and essentially by doing it that way, by making decisions that way, we come up with better public policy.
One area of concern in your constituency is run-of-river power production.
Right.
And there are many projects of that nature in your constituency and across the province. What are your thoughts about how we should deal with this issue going forward?
Well, it's a complex issue. Energy production is complex. What I fundamentally believe that the resources of this province should benefit the people of this province. So managing that while being stewards of our environment is obviously a balancing a process. My hope is that we will take a strong look at the projects that have already been created, but consider whether it has been in the best public interest, the manner in which they've been created. So I worry about the massive number of projects that are on the books. I think that we need to be very conscious of the fact that there are other ways of addressing some of our needs for energy. Conservation, I think, has to be at the forefront.
Can I ask what we should do with Butte Inlet, for instance? Well,
Butte Inlet is a magnificent, natural, beautiful place that has historical significance to British Columbia. The attempt at finding a route into the Chilcotin was at the root of the Chilcotin War, as they called it. Butte Inlet is a project with numerous rivers proposed to be dammed for hydroelectric production. At the moment, I believe that project is sort of taking a step backwards. I believe we need to ensure that our wild fish stocks are not negatively impacted by these kind of projects, and that the public has a say, not just a say, but gets a benefit. Our regions that are suffering from school closures and from a lack of adequate financial base could be addressed by local projects. But let's make sure that we consider those projects with an eye not just for today but for the long-term future. We need to make sure that water is protected. I think there's nothing more important there's no resource more important than our water. And how we manage and steward our water is fundamentally important.